Yo, most powerful ability in the game acquired. The run is going to get quite a bit more crazy very soon.
Absolutely massive, Toadette. Grips just took a few deaths getting sent back to that safety state.
I heard you guys like lore, right? Well, we have go fast left, we have go fast up with enemy, we have go fast down, and now we have go fast up without enemy. Charge jump acquired. Hello and welcome back to more Ori and the Blind Forest All-Skills tournament action, still in the round of 32, now to EU prime time, 3 AM it is, and for commentary I am going to be joined by, it says Inconspicuous Cupcake here. How are you doing?
Hey Zem, I'm doing great. I'm really excited that the All-Skills tournament is underway. We had a really fun and exciting place coming into the bracket phase to face off against Person, the 22nd seed, who we both know from the randomizer community, who really did amazing stuff in the randomizer tournament. And so seeing them pick up all skills has been an absolute pleasure, and they are going to be going for a little bit of left side safety, but Cheese is a really good runner as well, Zem, right?
Oh yeah, she is being member of the Sub 30 club. I don't think much more needs to be said at that point about their caliber as an Ori All-Skills runner. Has been derusting for this, isn't quite yet back to the consistent 30s qualifier average, has been around the 31-45 here, but still a very, very good time and definitely capable of a lot of the hard tricks here. Route-wise, we're going to be seeing very, very similar things here, actually, from both of our runners, both doing the classic Stompless and Terra Break stuff, choosing some different health cells. But one interesting thing I saw when I looked at our runners here is that Person is actually the one who's doing Magnetless.
Yeah, Magnetless is a really scary route, but it gets us Quick Flame instead of Magnet early on in the run. So it makes getting through areas like Death Gauntlet a little bit quicker, as well as other places where we have to destroy things in order to be able to progress. So the only downside of it is that it makes it a little bit difficult to taper our experience, which is incredibly important for that mid and also late game sections, right? Frankie Walk is going to be a real critical juncture for a person to get first try in order to progress through very, very rapidly towards double jump tree. So we'll see how the EXP falls for Person as we progress through, but I'm sure they are more than capable of handling it.
Yeah, indeed. We saw also earlier today, we saw some funny stuff where XP and Ginza just falls into spikes, and our runners show us with their mouse movement just how much they love not being able to extract it from there without Magnet. There's a lot of stuff that can happen when you're going Magnetless, but in the end, what don't we do as speedrunners to save some seconds?
All right, indeed. And so our runners are going to be getting underway in a bit. We'll be transitioning over. Going to be featured on the left with that beautiful splash screen directly below it. And here, initially, in order to be able to things. So sorry, no SBS here today.
Indeed, we need to get all the skills, and that includes a sign, bash, and stomp. And she is actually jumping into the first wall. That is what we call a raise nerve start, but not going to matter too much in the grand scheme of a thing, as hopefully a second here or there. But that means Person gets to lead the charge on our way to our more or less helpful companion, depending on who you ask. Stein here, who will finally allow us to attack things like those brambles that have blocked the way earlier. So now runners going over to pick up Sign. Actually, actually, she's gonna make up about a second here by walking all the way to sign before pressing the interact button. That is just one of those minor optimizations you can do a bit early into the run, but now we're into the Frankie fight. Let's see how that goes. 1 to 2, 1 to 2 indeed. Already seeing energy drops, something about 10%, and with this we are off on our way to wall jump.
Okay, so indeed. So here it's going to be incredibly important that we end up tapering our experience. And the goal of the runners is on this first flower pad that we're going to be busting open, we're going to hope that it drops the 2 experience, which it always does, but it also has a 30% chance of dropping a health drop, and we get a stack. And so indeed, we do see a stack from person. I couldn't tell if that was a crystal or a health drop, but that is going to be nice for them just in case the enemies end up dropping it. And she's just barely missing picking up some 3 additional experience for no time loss. So they are going to have to sort of adjust their EXP route as both of our runners checking their UI to see where their health is at. And oh no, on the left, Cheese gets an energy crystal drop, which has a 10% chance, and they pick it up, losing just under a second.
Indeed. Glaze RNG with those health and energy drops, depending on where you are, you're gonna lose a fraction here or there. As mentioned before, person got the health stack there, so he's not gonna get slowed down if a health orb drops. An energy drop can still slow him down though. So now we are off to take this safety health cell here at the start, going for 4 HP on both sides for some extra tournament on racing safety before dropping down into the elbow here. Both of our runners getting through. 1 damage is fine since we have so much HP, and with this we now carry on and see how good we get our XP set up for the wall jump area.
Ooh, yeah, person's experience is looking pretty low here. So we're going to see if they take some time loss here to break open some spores. They grab 2 out of the 3 from the slime. They're going to be grabbing 4 more, and yeah, they are over the 4 EXP minimum amount to be able to get intentional level up. And no, they're taking a lot of damage, but they end up slowing down, and they get a level up, not quite when they want to, but nice adjustment there, being able to back track to the right in order to make sure that level up took out those spores, because each time we level up, fully refills health and energy, as well as giving us an ability cell, which is useful for a glitch that we'll be explaining in a bit. And it also causes a giant explosion, which is going to allow us to save a little bit of time on the exit as we head over to Blackroot Burrows after grabbing an energy cell that we saw Cheese on the left just pick up.
Yeah, and from those minuscule not wall jumping, but rather jump optimizations, and then the unfortunate flower skip there forcing us to adjust back for the blast. That's about a 6-second difference, but now on the exit, the brambles are already gone, so is the slime, so our runners can just hop up here, skip a bit of the right wall with our good friend, the swinging lock, and now head over to Blackroot. Nice elbow movement on the left from Cheese, damage boost there once, then hop over twice, and the person is actually gonna stop for just a split second here to get rid of one of those slimes, so that's another half second or so in that ballpark. Now we continue on to Blackroot, and as you've mentioned, that ability cell is going to come into play right here.
Yeah, so on the left, we're going to see Cheese turn their UI and open up the ability menu after they watch a small cutscene. You'll notice dialogue's missing because just turning off the UI ends up causing that to go away. But here we go, opening up the ability menu, and then we are going to use a glitch and a save anywhere to be able to move with it. And then crossing the cutscene trigger and leveling up an ability is going to save the game for us. So if we save the game after crossing the trigger, quit out to menu and reload, it allows us to either skip or enter most cutscenes within the game. So very nicely done. That one saves over 20 seconds in order to do so. Very, very important for the route itself. So great job from both of our runners to utilize that tech to get into Blackroot a little bit earlier. And it's going to... We now are going to be heading up for a difficult jump.
Yeah, this Blackroot pit here is very, very scary, and you see those platforms bobbing up and down. Not all parts of the cycle are actually makeable in a single jump, so we see some waiting there to line up the platform so we don't drop into the 3 damage spikes. Luckily, even if they did a drop down there, we are on a 4 HP route, so we can technically, if we fall in on the right side, recover, but obviously we don't want to do that. That's slow and that induces panic, so now into the lasers here. Takes a very, very tight one on the second one, but doesn't quite catch the cycle. Instead, gets the platform just as it falls down. So that's gonna cost about 7.5 seconds. So 8 minus the part that already moved. And now let's see how Person's platform cycle goes. Also just going down. So both our runners gonna have to wait 8 seconds here on their next platform cycle as Cheese is heading over, opening up the stage room. And there are so many ways to do this next cutscene skip that I'm super interested to see which ones we are going to see.
Okay, this is going to be a little spooky. There we go. Okay, Person was able to get 11 out of the 12 experience that dropped from the slime exactly. So that, like, just an experience away from leveling up. It's really important that our runners do not level up in this area after grabbing that 100 EXP orb. So Person doing a great job of managing their experience levels as they were heading through. But Cheese on the left is going to do another save anywhere, and we're going to see if they go for any sort of blind movement here. They are not. They are instead going to wait for the pedestal to rise up, which is going to make it a little bit easier and safer for getting out of Blackroot Burrows after we get our next skill, which is going to be Dash.
Indeed, and dash is the go fast ability of this game. For now, it is just dashing on the ground. We're gonna upgrade that throughout the run later as we allow to, but for now it means backtracking back to the start and taking a friend, Billy the Fronkey, for a walk here. But let's take a look on the right first, because Person is actually doing a different cutscene stack here, doing the one I first saw it try tonight doing. I don't know who actually came up with it, but by carrying this orb back and rekindling this save and reloading, we now start multiple cutscenes at the same time, and that allows us to move during them, which means we get dash straight during a cutscene, get movement, just barely in the wrong position, not gonna get to do the blind movement here, sadly.
Yeah, it looks like the save is just a little too far to the right, so not just slightly adjusting that positioning in time, but on the left, Cheese is going to be taking an intentional level up here after killing the Fronkey, put 2 energy into the door, level up, we get 2 energy back, and so we are able to put 2 more into the door in order to open that 4 energy amount, even though we do not have those 4 energy cells at our disposal. And so, Cheese on the left, nice dash there off of the Crusher. Being able to get that is incredibly tight, and then they are going to be dropping down into Lower Grotto, or also known as Gumo Hideout, as we see a cool replay on the left with that Crusher dash movement, as Cheese on the left is going to be going for a God Cycle here on these Crushers. So here, lining up, waiting a little bit, dashing, jumping up the wall. Oh no, looks like they jumped just a little bit too early, but Manzem, so much action on the right. This is crucial for Person. They do not have an easy magnet in order to be able to get the experience. So are they going to be able to do it? Yes, they are. Yes. Very nicely done.
Ah, nicely done. That magnetless Fronkey Walk being so incredibly hard. Most of the time we recommend that to be started late, but Person just nailing it, taking an extra hop to just line it up perfectly, and then gets his Fronkey Walk. Now also at the energy and already starting the save, does want to save that the other 2 energy going into this door for a health cell later, as Cheese is now going to double jump tree, doing blind movement here, so has to cross some gaps. Some of the platforms actually despawned on the way, and let's see, camera snaps and already halfway up the wall. Might have taken damage, but that was an impressive distance for that blind movement.
Okay, this is a little spooky for Cheese. This wall right here can be annoying. No, he's able to get past those 2 damage spikes. That is terrifying, because those spikes would have killed him and reset him back down towards that double jump tree to have to do that blind move again. And they are able to get Grotto skip first try. Very nice from Cheese. Going for, no, not going for baguette jump, just a variation where they go over to the right wall and realizing their position was a little bit off. And on the right, we're going to see if Person is also going to be doing this blind movement and following their fellow. No, they are not. Instead, they will be saving at the tree by activating it and being able to do this movement with full vision of the area.
Indeed, and now we can see that gap wasn't here on the way here, so that's one of the things she's had to skip during the blind movement. But now with Person still having that ability, so there are like two major options that we've seen so far in the tournament for utilization. One, to make it a bit easier on some of those safe positions. The other one, later at the Ginso tree, we'll see which one of those person is going to be doing now. Grotto Skip coming up for him, lines up on the wall, goes for the immediate, but hesitates a little bit, dropping back down, going for another attempt. Deadlock now starts swinging, so might I actually haven't seen that backwards jump set up before. That's interesting. And now it's up here. Are we gonna see a baguette jump? No. Also hopping off the left wall, and with this, it is wall climbing time for a good another minute.
Yeah, Cheese just a little bit of time loss, having a little bit of a struggling in the section that we see Person working through right now. But upcoming here for Cheese, they are going to be taking an intentional level up in order to potentially grab 30 plus experience in this area. There we go. There's 20 out of the 30. So Cheese is going to have to be watching for that to see if they can maybe make up that experience some elsewhere. But beautiful jump sequence from Cheese, being able to get up to that ability cell. Very immaculate play. And I'm excited to see what they do in Ginso, as Ginso has some really, really difficult movement sections.
Indeed, and 4 HP on the is also one thing. Speaking of HP, Person climbing up the vault without any problems. That was so smooth on the left side there. Now has 5 HP, a different threshold here. This is one of if not the fastest early 5 HP cell you can get. That provides extra safety and also potential for some damage boost shenanigans in the Ginso tree. Speaking of which, she is now at the Ginso tree line, giving us a bit of a tour around the first room, and now can head up here to get towards his bash tree.
Yeah, nice back foot movement there to be able to get over to the planks. And now they are moving into the second room, which is going to be a little bit tricky. There's a cycle here that we're trying to hit. So here we go, double jumping there and then going for a dash glide. Nicely done, nails the movement perfectly. And they are going to be heading for upper route as they head over to the spike section. And I love that. Did you just see that? Cheese just dropped a save, right? That save doesn't lose him anytime, but it gives him the potential just in case he gets a little nervous, just in case he gets stuck and takes a death, right? Now there's no teleporting all the way back to the beginning of Ginso. They go back to that save spot. So just very, very nice safety save there. And Person taking a lot of damage coming into this section, saves on the waypoint itself in order to refill their health so that they can go into Ginso on that 5 HP Zem.
Indeed, having a bit of trouble on the wall, but manages to stick on even with the slime. And now we are getting skips on the right side as we get a mini boss fight on the left. And indeed, Person going for game storage Ginso entry. That is going to be a hard series of reloads, needing to have a slow reload as first to enter Ginso and opting to not go for the second game storage reload. Alright, so just gonna skip the door opening animation. Now these brambles drop faster since Person has quick flame, but otherwise we can jump up here and go on further. And then with quick flame, the big question point is, can he get some extra cycles out of the mini boss and save some time there?
Yeah, so on the left, we're going to see Cheese. They just set up their health to be exactly 3 in order to take 2 damage from the spike here as the floor is breaking. Then grabbing the keystones, they're going to place a save right after they put it into the door, and then take an intentional death there. And that allows us to get through the door in nice hyperspeed from the dash. That is incredibly difficult to do, because you just have such low room, right? You want the save to go off as you're moving over to the right. So excellently done. Picking up Bash here is going to allow Cheese to progress on into Ginso Tree, pushing themselves in one direction, and then a projectile, a lantern, or an enemy in the opposite direction. And nicely done. So here is a tricky one here, bashing the shot to the right instead of to the left, and nice setup gets up there as they are going to be heading into the next trick, which is key dupe.
Indeed, and with that key duplication, what we're trying to do is die with the keystone still in the door while far enough away. So the door unloads and suddenly we have 3 more keystones than we had before. Nice angle setup there on the upper bramble, and there we go. And one thing, note from the track, Person apparently leveled up Magnet here, so he has 1 point in every single ability tree here, and that might come back later, because generally we do not have that point in the early game, so we need to see how Person adjusts his XP route for that. But otherwise, yeah, Person now going through lower Ginso as Cheese is in the upper mini-boss fight.
Okay, so Person is going to be continuing through. They did drop a save in the previous area, but I believe the save should come off cooldown and takes a death, but that's okay, right? They had that safety save there, but they forgot to go back and grab those 2 keystones them. So Person's going to have to turn around in order to go back for those in order to be able to open this door here. Because we haven't done the key dupe glitch quite yet. So Person puts the 2 keys in and is like, oh yeah, okay, so there's the 2 keystones back here. So grabs some extra energy, nicely done, and then comes over, grabs these, and then they are going to be progressing on. Meanwhile, on the left, Cheese is going to be setting up for some movement here. So we're going to see, yes, they are going for the blind movement. This is really, really nice. It saves about a second or so to do this if they are able to nail it. So measuring out their dashes by counts, and then heading into swamp entries then.
Yeah, and let's see the camera snap. Alright, one more dash to our good friend Ringo. Gets him on the left side of the crystal so he can't run off even though he hit him. Alright, that's a good save now into swamp entry. Let's see, one hops again. Catches the projectile, going for a double bash drops. So gonna have to take one more shot here, which also hits the wall. Ringo is out for blood in all of these races today. Just being mean to all of the runners, and double bashing being a frame perfect trick doesn't make it easier. But now through, it is not quite over yet until the safety save. This water is poisonous, but now with the door reach, that is going to be fine.
Yo, nicely done from Cheese. That is a very difficult trick. And meanwhile, on the right, Person nailing key dupe. Very well done. And so with this, are they going to go? No. Okay, so they only have 3 HP here, and oh, just barely not high enough to be able to bash on that lantern, so they're going to grab this keystone, fall back down, and then grab, and then head on up. And so you'll notice instead of just the 4 keystones that after opening that door, Person has 3 remaining. That is just from a glitch that he did earlier on, and that's going to stop us from having to clean the water as well as go down into Swamp Swim in order to open the door to the Stomp Tree that we see Cheese at right now.
Yeah, Cheese now all through that door all the way to Stomp Tree has managed to utilize those keystones. Person still just teleporting into Grotto will have his own swamp entry in front of him very shortly. But Ringo has already trolled us once. It is Ringo time yet again. We need an ability cell, and what better way to get it than to bash a frog around. Does get the double bash this time, nicely done, and with that Ringo AC is acquired, and our runners get almost a high five here at the Grotto lasers as Person is activating that. But now eyes on the left, cutscene skip coming up, correct position, takes the bash, and nice, no cutscene here. Cutscene still not existing, so now he has a bit of a breather as Person needs to set up for swamp entry.
Okay, here we go. Person bringing the frog up, going to bash it over. Nicely done. So far, so smooth. And now coming over is going to take an intentional damage boost in the spikes. And they are not going for double bash method, but Person on 1 health has to be incredibly careful here. So here, bashing the shot up and then bashing up is going to allow us to get the frog shot just barely high enough to be able to break the floor. First try swamp entry from Person. Nicely done. And that 5 HP is then paying off in dividends, right? If he had not grabbed that health cell from the glide vault in Moon Grotto, then he would have taken a death there and had to do another attempt. But very well played from Person, as they now are going to be heading up to Stomp Tree, as Cheese Lover on the left is going to be going for a cutscene skip in order to save about a minute for the run overall, as he is now heading over to the left side of the map.
Yeah, Charge Flame acquired, which allows us to continue up the blue ability tree, and that we do. Dash gliding over this teleporter, using his save anywhere, and that allows us to skip this 1 minute long cutscene now into Valley, and a run is getting faster since we no longer need to ground ourselves to get those dashes in. So you can see those dashes and bashes chaining to each other to fly through this lower area of the map. Now valley open, left side accessible, and with that he is going to climb up some walls, collect an ability cell on the way, and then try to break the rocks. But Person, nice double bash there, gets a good stat up on the Ringo AC. Now has active lasers, if I remember correctly, so needs to dash glide over them, doesn't fall into it, and with that the only thing for him left is Kuro cutscene skip here, sets up, bashes up, doesn't quite fly through, but there is no cutscene. Wonderfully done.
Yeah, excellent job. And on the left, Cheese bashing Spider Shot, but it was too high. So now he's going to set up again. So here we go, bashing the shot. That angle looks a bit better. Oh, it's so low, Zem. I don't know if that's going to work, but here we go. We will see in a moment. Then, while that Spider Shot is traveling through space, grabs the ability cell, but no, it was good. The caster curse of never being able to tell if a fast stomp with Spider Shot ends up continuing in its trend, as Cheese next is going to be sequence breaking. Instead of going to Misty Woods, we are going to be heading on up to Sorrow. So good luck, Cheese, on your attempts at Sorrow Bash.
Yeah, the single hardest wall every new runner has to face, Sorrow Bash. But as you get better at the game and learn new strats, the way you do Sorrow Bash also gets more and more fancy, honestly. Opting for Red Frog method to get his height here, flying up in one swoop and setting up double bash drops yet again, but the bird is still kinda okay-ish in position as long as it doesn't fly there, and 5 HP saving the day, but doesn't get all the way into the elbow, so we'll have to redo that. And with that, yeah, that is why Sorrow Bash is so difficult. Chaining that bird around the corner while also chaining yourself around the corner really isn't the easiest of tasks.
Okay, so here we go, another attempt for Cheese. Nice bash there, and then C dashes up to the bird, and then is going to be doing another rocket jump where we cancel out the charge dash ability just by simply pressing jump at the same time. We just have a bind for that. And then here, another rocket jump followed by a little bit of feathering is going to bait the frog shot up, because where you are once the frog shot starts decides how high it can go. And the green frogs especially can go very, very high. Just be very careful not wanting to taste any of the tasty spikes in Sunchip's Sanctuary, as he is now going to be heading on over to grab charge jump, and then is going to be utilizing a glitch known as Terror Break in order to go up and collect Sunstone.
Yeah, that he will do. And on the right side, Person having a bit of trouble with the bird stomper, gets that. So now he's setting up for a Stormblast. Racing Spider has shot, but oh, gets the wrong bash there. Can you reach the cell? Yes, and that shot was nice. Gets a first try Stormblast. Very, very nicely done on the left. She's setting up a safe anywhere to take a charge jump through a death, which is called a Terror Break, and allows us to go into the upper area of Sorrow without going all the way around the left side. So now here we'll just be floating up behind this menu, and then go to the Sunstone, skill an ability point there to skip an incredibly long cutscene and be fine on his way. Now on Person's side, however, he has a big 0 on his ability cell count and is noticing that. So what he's doing is running into 3 birds room here, grabbing a backup ability cell, has the mind space to remember that he leveled up Magnet on accident, and can now head over and start his Tower Bash attempts. And that frog just exploded with some of these C dashes, but will probably be able to think something up with his rando experience, grabbing another shot instead and flying upwards. Oh, doesn't quite make it on the height, so now heading back to the teleporter and gonna save there for a refill.
Yeah, this is totally okay, right, for Person. This is just such a nominative backup. Like, Person just being on top of his resources, being on top of what he needs to do to be able to lose as little time as possible, right? Because in speedrunning, it's not about time saves all the time. It's more about mitigating time loss. And so not quite getting enough height again on the frog. So they are going to be coming back down. And let's see if this one's going to work. It is. So just getting high enough, and whoa, careful there. Just almost letting that bird get away from them. And so here, dropping the save, grabbing the energy crystals for a refill, taking an intentional death to reset the health on the birds, and now Person on the right is going to be heading in for their attempts at Sorrow Bash. Beautiful double bash, but oh no, the bird was just a little too high there, so bonking into the rocks and down into the spikes, and Person is now going to go for another attempt.
Yeah, and look at that. That is not the cookie cutter lure version. That's the harder, recently popularized one, where you actually just bash the bird repeatedly in there, which means your angles need to be on point, and he gets through. That is a Sorrow Bash on his side, and now he can fly up into Sorrow. Meanwhile, what we have been kind of neglecting on the left side, Cheese has just been destroying Sorrow and Misty on the exit here, and not even really placing safety saves. The last safety save before climb tree, that was all the way at Sunstone, but he doesn't care. He just pushes through and races the timer through this area.
Wow, great movement here from Cheese, just not even sparing an inch, right? Just landing just on those platforms, dropping a safety save there because the upcoming section can be very easy to take a death, and especially when we only have 5 health. Nice stomp there, and great rocket jump through the meatball corridor as Cheese is now going to be heading up for a mini boss. And so this mini boss here, we have very, very many different ways in order to get a quick kill. Looks like Cheese was thinking about going for the optimal and then instead just opts to instead go for a bit of an easier one. Gets it in 2 cycles, not too bad at all. As Person on the right, very nicely done, gets Terror Break first try, which is incredibly critical in making sure he doesn't take a death to these lasers and have to reset up for the trick.
Yeah, if you've ever played this game yourself in non-rando and opened up a save anywhere, you know how hard it can be to see all these laser cycles behind an ability menu that takes up most of your screen, especially in those darker areas. But Get Through still has the one ability cell he needs for his Sunstone cutscene skip. So he will be able to collect that any moment and then also go to the funny movement section of the run and dropping down into Misty. But for now, Cheese on the left is going to fly back to the start of the game and take a second dip into Blackroot Barrows, because down here there's one more skill, and in a category called All Skills we kinda need that to finish the game. So what we're going to do now is glitch out this lever to be permanently opened for later use before heading down towards the grenade tree, and once we're there, after skipping one last cutscene here, we have one kinda nice tech, don't we?
We do indeed. So with Climb, Grenade, and Charge Jump, we're able to do a Climb, Charge Jump off a wall, but actually cancel out the deceleration by throwing a grenade 1 frame before we press that jump input. And this glitch is known as a grenade jump. So we'll see if Cheese ends up going for any of these like additional flavorful grenade jumps that save just little bits of time. But in the final escape, we do have a major one, but no, opting instead to do some nice charge jump movement with some very precise jump timings and jump spacings to be able to get up there very quickly. And Cheese, having activated every single skill tree, all that's left for them is 2 more very difficult bits, just getting through the final escape in Mount Horu and also performing another 1-frame trick, which is known as Door Warp.
Yeah, there is a lot of difficult stuff coming up for Cheese, and in the meantime, Person lost some energy on the way down to Sorrow, but has been adjusting quite well to deal with this first half of Misty. That looks good. Now reach the climb tree as Cheese is making through his way through Horu Fields. Does not need to skip this ability cell since we're on the Terror Break route. So we have some nice fast movement here. Now through Horu Fields itself, we have 2 major ways to cross the gigantic fire pit to the left. I think we're going to see some dashes. Indeed we are actually. Now it is dashes, before it was a bash glide, but now with this we can just kind of burn away most of our energy, go to Mount Horu, and as you alluded to, Door Warp is coming up, one of the big equalizers of this category.
All right, here we go for Cheese. This is it. After the game saves, he's going to be quitting out to menu and reloading. With such a commanding lead, they definitely have room for many attempts before Person is going to be threatening parity, and does not quite get it on the first attempt. So due to some voodoo, it's going to make the remaining attempts even more difficult. So here, Cheese trying to enter the door in the frame, they get control and just being just a little bit off. That one was just a fraction of a moment too late, and then swapping it to be early. So if they're able to equalize this out and even out and get that at the frame perfect timing, they are going to be able to get through. But man, Cheese is just having such a troubling time here, Sam. As no, there they go. Cheese making me eat my own words, as Cheese getting through Mount Horu, wrong warping to the end of the dungeon, and they are now going to be going through the final escape with just a couple of moments away from being able to succeed their position of moving on in bracket phase and making it to the round of 16, Zem.
Indeed, yeah, you're going for the good old caster straight. Just say a person has troubles with the trick and they will nail it, but now we go into the final escape. Dashing through the first room and through the second room, actually getting to see those now, but now there's a lava pillar coming up way behind Cheese, who is way too fast for any of these shenanigans. Second C-Flame use of the run, and now we're down to the S-Band. I think Cheese is actually on 6 health here, so he doesn't even really need to deal with fish cycles if he doesn't want to. Can just go through at a leisurely pace before skipping the final crew spawn trigger. And now there comes your favorite trick. One grenade jump is all that it takes for Cheese to close this out. Has his left bash done a bit too late on the press there. The grenade flying around, but gets the grenade jump on the second try. And GG Cheese, I saw Ori running. We are through.
Yep, just over 30 seconds, and all Cheese has to do here is hold right. So GG, well played from Cheese. They are absolutely going to be the person to take the win here today. And because this is a best of 1 series, they are going to be moving on to the round of 16, knocking Person out of the tournament. But Person just doing such a great job. I mean, we knew that this race had a decent chance of not really being too close, just simply because of the disparity in the PBs of these two people. But Person putting on just such a great showcase, nailing all of these things and heading down in BRB to make it over to the light grenade tree. But that being said, Cheese doing some cheesy things, doing some Naru hops over to the left, not quite finishing in the most optimal of fashions, but and there we go. Okay, Cheese putting on a little bit of a show for us then.
Yeah, distracting us from the fact Person just grenade jumped out of the grenade tree. But as we know, narrow hops optimally done are supposed to lose only 7 seconds. He somehow made it more. But here we go for Person now is into his final stretch of the run, and we've already seen he's comfortable with grenade jump, so we might be able to see 1 or 2 more in Horror Fields if we're lucky.
Oh, please. I would love that. I would love that so much. Oh, man. Yeah, so there's been a lot of work done in this game, especially from members of the randomizer community, of just finding all of these different setups for various grenade jumps that end up saving time. So we'll see what they end up doing here. This is really cool from Person. They've been doing this pretty consistently, but they don't bash the Frankie, because bashing takes at least 0.2 seconds in order to be able, or 20 frames or whatever, in order to be able to move the Frankie up to be able to rocket jump off of them. They wait for the Frankie to jump, and that loses a bit of time. But yes, Zem, here we go. Person going for the grenade jump does not quite get it, so they are just going to continue moving on. But here we go. There's the second location there. No, they went for it once, and now Person is going to be coming over to Mount Horu and doing their own attempts at another frame-perfect trick in order to try and wrong warp to the end of Mount Horu itself.
Indeed, now we have Horu left, and still, even though that grenade jump failed, style points for attempting. I love grenade jumps about as much as you do, Muffin, but here is door warp. I saw some up spamming, and with that, it kind of becomes a 50-50 on this. You need to hit the frame after the load, and so far it is not saying we're going through. So this is attempt number 4 here for Person. Still a bit too late on the press. You can kind of know you're too late when you get outside, and now that I start explaining that, we can enter the final escape. So Person now can close out his run here.
All right, here we go. The final escape has all of these red things. Hot things are hot. Lava is hot. Spikes are spiky. So it's going to be important for Person not to touch anything, even though they look very tantalizing and tasty. But here we go. Person's going to be starting off by dashing over to the right and then charge jumping up. Next, using Charge Dash Nice uncancelled to be able to land on the ground a little bit quicker is going to be stomping the floor. Then over here is going to be bashing these lanterns, but there's the Lava Plume. It gets through before it connects. So now, coming to Elemental Room, nice glide there, not slowing down at all. They are able to get through. Next is going to be the swim section. We're going to see how they are going to be working through in order to try and not take too much damage because we didn't clean the water. The water's still poisonous. Next, Charge jumping in here, trying to get a very tight skip. Does skip that Kuro kill plane from activating, so this is going to allow him to bash to the left. Oh no, Zem, they didn't reset, but fortunately misses the grenade jump, so that they are not going to soft lock. Next, lining it up, can they do it? Yes, they get through. No soft lock indeed, and that is going to do it for Person. And I just want to point out, if Person was able to get Door Warp first try, they would have come incredibly close to their PBs. And what an incredible run from both of our runners here today.
Yeah, honestly, we know Person's PB just yesterday gotten actually is a 35-20 at this point, and we saw what happened in Valley, and with all that and all these door warp attempts, well, you can see the timer for yourself, and this is a race setting, so just all the GGs for Person as he finishes up with one decision to be made. Narrow hop 3 are going to get hopping to victory. GG Person hopping his way into a 36-36 here.
Yeah, amazing. And I just want to point out as well that Person had to do the backup in Valley, right? They were ahead of PB pace when they got to Glide, but had to go down to the 3 birds room in order to get that ability. So I absolutely going to want to hear their thoughts if they end up joining us for an interview. But absolutely amazing, right? Just knowing the backups, knowing what their game plan was, improvising beautifully in order to be able to come within 30 seconds of your PB in a race setting. That is absolutely phenomenal. I really look forward to seeing how much Person is going to improve if they stick with the category. But that being said, here is our bracket. We do indeed see that at the bottom there, Cheese Lover is indeed going to be taking the win here today, moving on to the round of 16 to face off against the 6th seed themselves, none other than Infinite. But Zem, my goodness, we are joined by our 2 runners now, Cheese Lover in Person. GG, well played, friendos. That was a very fun match to cast.
GG. Yeah, thanks for casting. It's good fun.
Yeah, sure, of course. So, first question over to you, Person. Going into the mid-game itself, you were actually on PB pace when you got to Glide. Was leveling up Magnet earlier in the run a little bit of a mistake that you had to sort of improvise for to find an ability cell somewhere? Or was that just something that you had planned for your route to be able to round out your experience going into late game?
Yeah, so what ended up happening was I was quite annoyed at my early game XP management because I ended up missing both Black Root cycles. So leveling Magnet was certainly not planned. So I was trying to think of a way to make it up. And I thought of getting both the Fast Optus shell and the backup one. And I'm surprised I was still actually on PB pace there.
Yeah, that was amazing, right? If first try Door Warp, right? Holy crap, man. That was such a great run. Well played on that.
Thank you.
So I guess next question heading over to you, Cheese. Coming out of Double Jump Tree, right? Nailing the Grotto Skip first try, right? Having great blind movement and just taking 2 damage and then being able to get through the scary sections without any real trouble. But then after that Grotto Skip, some of the movement was just a bit off. Were you nervous that you were falling behind at that moment? Or did you just were you able to just ground yourself and be like, nah, this is fine. I just need to refocus and reset up and just keep going with the race?
Oh yeah, the right side of the log. I was when I missed it first try. I was like, oh no, I should just go left. But some part of me was just being stubborn of needing to get it right, and then I just fell down the whole shaft and then went back up and still kind of failed it, but got it at the end. Well, I wouldn't really say it was nerves. Maybe that's why I failed it, but it was just stubbornness. I think.
Good stuff. Improvising those moments are some of the most stressful for me when I'm racing, because it's just oh no. I still can't get past here. What's going on?
Yeah.
Nicely recovered. GG.
Now I have one more question for you, person. Now, sadly, this tournament is single elimination, which means you're not gonna be advancing in the bracket. But let's talk about our skills itself. Are you planning on sticking with the category, continuing to push that down? Because you've been pretty rapidly improving at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to try to get a sub 35 because it's really doable. And when I first started, I didn't really think I would could get a sub 35, but I'm probably going to try to get a sub 35. And then after that, I might come back once in a while, but I'll probably just play more rando.
You know what? Totally understandable. The randomizer for this game is awesome. I'm never gonna say no to more rando, but I definitely think we all saw you're gonna get that sub 35 in no time at all here.
Awesome. Great stuff, Person. Very, very well done indeed. And I am looking forward to that next run. So I guess closing question here for Cheese. In preparation, you're going to be having to go up against Infinite with another week left for the round of 32 to just sort of ease us into the tournament. Are you going to be doing a lot of runs? Are you going to be doing segment practice? Or are you just going to kind of lay back, go at your own pace, and really focus on race day once it approaches?
I think my chances aren't the best, I would say, but I'll obviously try and go for all PB strats. Like this race, I was playing it pretty safe, going for a early 5 HP even for Sorrow because my mouse is not the best at the moment. But I'll just have to hope that I can pull everything off and probably aim for some sort of low 30 and hope that there are failures on the other end to push me through it, but my hopes aren't huge, but I'll try my best and do a little bit of practice beforehand, I guess, and see how it goes on the day.
All right, indeed. Okay, well, GG to both of you. Thank you so much for performing tonight. I just had so much fun, and I look forward to seeing what you folks do next.
Yeah. GG.
Thank you.
All right, so that being said, that's going to do it for us here tonight. The next match is going to be at 7 p.m. UTC, which is going to feature off Clean Fell versus My Bobbies Are Soft, which is going to be potentially a very close race, right? Their PBs are just seconds apart from each other. So definitely don't miss that tomorrow at 7 p.m. UTC. But that being said, we had an entire production crew here for the race here tonight. Of course, I'm Covert Muffin, and I was casting with none other than Zemsis. And joined with us, helping us track stats and the like, was none other than Lion Almanar. And restreaming tonight was none other than Super Fluffy Koala. But from all of us here for the Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills Tournament, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will see you tomorrow. Good night, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.